up. It is not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Being fat is not a flaw, but if you're fat, you're treated like an outlaw. Can we stop this, please, and thanks? We shouldn't have to squeeze our rolls in some Spanx.
First, I was like eating it and biting it, but it tastes like straight up gas. Like, not the good gas, but just like the gas, like gasoline. So now I'm just like swallowing it. Hopefully it works the same.
Actually, the body positivity movement was created in the 1960s by fat black women. It was created to fight against the dangerous discrimination that fat bodies face, particularly fat black femmes. So I feel like a guest in the body positivity movement myself. I'm a white woman who's a size 22. I have white privilege. That's massive because fat phobia is rooted in racism. That's just true. Look it up, read. But as a size 22, I can comfortably fit in an airplane. I can fit in most like chairs at a restaurant. I can find clothes that fit me. But discrimination I do face and that fat people do face that mid-sized people do not face is that crash testing cars, medical studies, scientific research, dosing medications, fat people are left out of that research altogether. Not to mention, fat people will make less money annually than their thin counterparts of equal education and skill level. It's not just about loving your body. You need to think critically about this.
Let's play a little game just between you and I.
I hate when people say that wheelchairs are only for people who need them.
Without me, my wheelchair is useless. Without my wheelchair, I am useless.
Because when they say that, what they mean is wheelchair users are for people who are paralyzed. But not everyone who is a wheelchair user is paralyzed. I think we should do away with strollers. Because toddlers can stand.
Get in there.
You know why we use strollers? Because we do need them. We need them. And you know what? Some adults need strollers too. And that stroller is a wheelchair.
It's like riding a bull, you gotta lean with it.
What is your commitment to making disabled people and fat people suffer all the time?
I wanna go home.
Because life sucks, okay? And if it makes a difference between you going outside and not going outside, use the fucking wheelchair and go outside. If you actually cared about people's health, you would stop discrediting that.
Breaking news, I can be this and this at the same time. You get the best of both worlds.
I don't know what came over me yesterday where I decided that I finally wanted to give my opinion on the term midsize. I'm gonna give a little bit of some observations from yesterday, but let me say something first. I am not body positive, I am fat positive, and I support fat liberation. End of story. I'd say half of the folks commenting were just glad to hear that there actually was other language available to them that is rooted in fat liberation. The other half of commenters are straight-sized white women who seem to be just really invested in arguing that they face oppression in some way. The fat spectrum and fat liberation are about actual societal oppressions faced by fat people, not just the ways that you are made to feel about your body because we live in a fat-phobic society. Let me be clear, you can face personal hardships in your life and also still benefit from different types of privilege, just like when people talk about racism. And I'm just really curious about the white women in my comment sections who are putting so much energy into advocating for the word midsize instead of working against fat phobia.
God forbid I have one of your insecurities and I'm not insecure about it. God forbid I like it. Bro, this shit fucking hurt.
It always hurts me when I see a black person being fat phobic. It just crushes me, especially because one of the origins of fat phobia was literally racism. Prior to the Atlantic slave trade, Europeans actually found plushy, chubby to fat women extremely desirable and as a sign of health, whereas people who were thinner were sick and weird, specifically ugly. But during the Atlantic slave trade, many Europeans realized that many African enslaved folk shared similar proportionate chubby to fat sizes that they considered desirable, specifically black women. So in a desperate attempt to essentially perpetuate racial inferiority, they decided to just switch up the whole narrative and use science to back it up. This is what I mean when I say it's never been about health. Also, I'm reading this book called Fearing the Black Body, where Sabrina Strings goes into detail about this, using multiple historical references. It's really good. I beg, please stop with the fat phobia.
When I see non-Americans talk about how they're so much skinnier than Americans, it rubs me the wrong way sometimes because, for example, Europeans, they'll be like, oh, it's our culture, we walk around more and we eat smaller portions. And the implication is that Americans are just intrinsically greedier and we have less self-control, when in reality, the stark differences in obesity rates are a result of policy choices. Obesity is shaped by two things: the increased availability and consumption of high-calorie, ultra-processed food, and the lack of physical exercise. In the 70s, economic incentives and government policies led to the increase in the import of high-fructose corn syrup and palm oil, which led to the increase of ultra-processed food, which is really calorie-dense. Additionally, America is very car-centric as opposed to biking, public transit, walking. Our urban infrastructure was built exclusively around cars. That's due to lobbying from the automobile industry and the oil and gas industry. Daily exercise here isn't an obligation, unlike European countries where you have to walk to get to places. Here, it's a conscious choice that you have to make. Factors like sedentary jobs, long commutes, suburbs with no sidewalks limit our opportunities for physical movement. We're also seeing school budget cuts resulting in cutting sports teams and PE classes. Today, nearly 70% of what children eat is ultra-processed food. Instead of individually blaming people for being overweight, we should be criticizing industries that prey on and profit from people being unhealthy. The food industry's deregulation, where they are aggressively marketing to children. The diet industry, things like diet tea, diet meals, diet pills. The healthcare industry, obesity used to be indicative of a disease, but now it's a disease itself. And a lot of people have experienced fat phobia, fat shaming at the hands of healthcare professionals. The drug and pharmaceutical industry, the food industry. These powerful industries have a vested stake in keeping Americans addicted to processed foods. A lot of critique of fat people just tells them to exercise more and eat healthier, but there's a limit to actionable items that they can do. We're talking about generations of disadvantages for Black and brown neighborhoods who don't always have access to parks, safe streets, or grocery stores carrying fresh fruits and vegetables. You can yell and scrutinize their bodies and lifestyles all you want. That would make you a bad person. But a lack of resources will make it nearly impossible for them to lose weight. We need government intervention and policies that challenge the food industry's predatory practices, as well as addressing the interlocking social, racial, and economic inequities that contribute to the obesity epidemic. We need politicians who will stand up for the health of their constituents against big food lobbies who want to continue to pump preservatives, saturated fats, and sugar into our foods. The obesity epidemic will not be solved at the individual level, so stop pretending that individually shaming people will result in substantial systemic change.
That I needed.
Oh, real?
Oh. Wait! Tell me about
What happened?
What's in there?
She talking about she think it's an iPhone. It's an iPhone, dude?
No, it's not an iPhone.
Jay just gave you an iPhone.
I told you not. What tea? Slim tea? Really? Really? Be happy. Be happy. What is? They serve us some slim tea.
What? What happened? What you mean what the? What happened?
Okay, I know what this is.
What's that? That's something you wanted?
Yeah. It's something that I needed.
Oh, real?
Oh.
Do you know them? No.
Hey, Mater. It's nice to finally be back in Radiator Springs.
I want you.
What?